Okay, I will go ahead and just start out. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to do this with all of you. I just wanted you to know that we have close to 700 of you that have decided to join us. Not everybody's on the live call tonight. Some of you are listening later, but that kind of energy is here with us. And I just want to thank you. And a special shout out to our friends who are not in the United States, who are in Germany, who are in the UK, who are in France, who are in Queensland, who are in Australia, New Zealand, all these great places, Norway. I'm just so excited because apparently the world's a mess and we all need to get clear. Apparently we are all needing clarity and we are all needing our sweet spot. And also, I just want you to know that you are not alone, that you are joined by this many amazing, beautiful souls. And if you're new to me and my work, I'm so grateful to have you here joining us, creating a worldwide family and tribe of those of us who are living from inspiration instead of fear. So before I journey into tonight's call, I just want to tell you very briefly, for those of you who are in the United States, I am doing a weekend retreat that's coming up that if you can join me, I'd love to have you. It's on thriving through uncertainty. So if you're going through any kind of uncertainty in your life, it's a beautiful space. It's very intimate. We do some really beautiful processes to get clear about the turning point in your life, how to make an inspired decision, to use that uncertainty to get really clear at this time in your life. There's amazing people who show up, and I get to spend some real time with you in a beautiful space and coach you. And they're always just beautiful. Retreats are like nothing else. They're just times out of time. So if you can join me, that's at the Omega Institute. It's in upstate New York, 90 minutes from New York City. It's August 16th through the 18th. So I just wanted to mention that to you. I'm also doing another retreat. That's a 5-day retreat in Massachusetts that's coming up October. Don't listen to me. I don't know the dates, but some time in October. But I just wanted to share that with you if that's a better time frame for you. So just wanted to mention those two things. I'll also mention some other things at the end of the call, but I want to journey on in together. So this is Your Sweet Spot. That is the name of this event, Your Sweet Spot, and it is July 25th. 2019. And to begin with, what I'm going to do is we're going to just do an opening meditation, a time to kind of get here, space to get here, because here's what I know. There's no way to get clear. There's no way to receive the inspiration and the genius and the love that is waiting for you if we bring our tired minds into the room. And what I mean by that, when we bring our minds that say, ugh, I know how this is. I'm never going to get any answers. It should have happened by now. It only works for other people. It only works for people in California. It only works for people who are thin. I have my version of this. You might have yours. But, we all have that. And for me, my own work and the work that if you've been in any of my retreats or any of my work, I encourage this all the time. It's about beginning again. And I take that seriously. Together, we have the chance to enter inspired, holy time, especially with all this energy, with all these beautiful souls, and with wherever you are right now in this moment. We have that opportunity to start over, to begin new. And so for me, what that means is, can you give yourself permission to decide that you have never been here before and you will never be here again, and that together we are entering a new time? And by a new time, I mean that we're just going to spend a minute or two. We're going to do a meditation together just to open up this space, and we're going to invite in that presence of the genius, of the divine self, of the beloved, of the universe, of our higher mind, whatever you call it, whatever name, who cares what we call it? Let's call on it. And again, we're doing this together. We're doing this for each other. And again, for me, it's being willing to be innocent. It's being willing to not let my logical mind stomp on in with its ugly, muddy boots and say, ugh, we've done this, we've tried this, blah, blah, blah. but we're just daring to start over and begin again. So I'm going to ask you to join me in that, if you will, wherever you are. And part of what this is just giving yourself permission all throughout tonight to dare anything, to receive anything. We're not trying to force anything. Something I may say might hit you, or something I might say might spark you in a way that you didn't expect at all, or might irritate you, or might frustrate you, or might excite you. And it might not even be the thing I'm talking about. It might be something else, right? Please follow your guidance. That's the whole point of this time. We are opening up to this guidance together. Follow what sparks for you. Pay attention to what sparks for you. And also, please know you are surrounded right now by so much love. I am looking out at some of you, and I just like, oh my God, it just delights me beyond belief. And those of you who have not put your video on yet, I'm loving you also. It's just harder, but no guilt or anything. You're in a safe space, but I'm not, whatever. Okay, you know who you are. Oh my God, look at Steph and Tammy. You're so adorable. Oh my God, look at you guys. You're so adorable. I just want to hang out and talk to you all, but I will not do that. I will I will do our meditation. So your job is to breathe. There is nothing formal to this. We're just opening this space together. If it helps you at all, you might place your hand on your heart or any other gesture that is comforting. And together, we are now entering inspired time. We are now entering the sweet spot, the space of devotion, a space of willingness. Wherever you are right now, whatever mood you're in, whatever thoughts are on your mind, just allow them to be there. I'm not pushing anything away. More than anything else, this is a moment to breathe in and to breathe out. To breathe in and to breathe out. And to know that no matter what you're thinking, there is a part of you that is already safe and already whole. I am safe. These thoughts are buzzing around. My mood is hanging out. But I am safe. The deeper, resourceful, magnificent part of me is already safe. And I am whole. And imagine breathing into the core of your beingness, the core of your effortlessness, the core of your beingness. And together we are asking to begin again. We are asking to co-create a safe and sacred space together. Let this space begin to comfort you. I am allowing myself to be comforted. I am allowing myself to be riveted to my inspired self. I am allowing myself to be led. I am allowing myself to be freed. I am allowing myself to step out of ordinary time and ordinary space and to enter the sacred and the unimaginable and the unlimited. I am returning to who I am, if even for an instant. We are co-creating a safe and sacred space. Allowing yourself to breathe into this time. And allowing yourself to lean back into the larger part of yourself. I am willing to remember that I am not alone. I am willing to remember that I am not doing this alone. I am willing to remember that there is an inspired path within me. I'm willing to remember that we are co-creating this together. I'm willing to begin again and to think new thoughts and to open in new ways and to love myself more and to love others more and to invite even deeper awareness. And perhaps wherever I've been stuck, wherever I've been stopped, wherever I've been blocked, I'm giving this to my spirit, to the highest love within me. And I'm asking now, help me. Help me begin again. Help me enter my sweet spot, a space of knowing, a space of receiving, a space of allowing, a space of not trying, not efforting, but allowing and receiving whatever I am to receive in this moment, in this call, in this lifetime. And for one moment more, allowing yourself to breathe and be here. And perhaps asking, what is it that my inspired self wants me to know right now? What is it that my inner teacher would have me know? What is it that my heart wants me to know? Perhaps something comes, perhaps a word comes, perhaps an image, perhaps a memory. Perhaps nothing comes at this moment, but I know it will come. I'm asking my spirit to guide me. I'm asking the deepest, most healed part of myself to take the reins. I'm willing to step into my strength now. I'm willing to step into my love now. I'm willing to forgive myself. I'm willing to begin in this holy, sacred moment. What is it that you would have me know? Is there anything that you would have me know? And then allowing yourself to receive the love that is here, to experience the love that is here for you, all around you, within you. And also taking a moment. We take a moment, whether you are here live or you are listening later, take this moment to hold the intention and the thought and the love for everyone joining us, for everyone in this amazing experience of shared consciousness and shared intention. We are sending this love to all of you, to each of you. We are holding this together. May every precious soul listening now, listening later, listening again, may every precious soul receive exactly what he or she needs. We are so much stronger together. We are holding this intention, and I am receiving this intention. We are co-creating this safe and sacred space together. And know that you are not alone, and you are more than who you think you are. And as you feel ready and in your own time and only when it's right for you, allow yourself to return. Mm. Mm. Hmm. Well, I'm good. I need a cigarette now. No, that was so good for me. Oh, thank you all for being in this space with me. So, I wanted to start by um, what did I want to do? I wrote myself some notes so I would stay organized. I'm going to read you just something from my book, Thriving Through Uncertainty. I know some of you have it. You probably can't even see it in that lighting, but it's my latest book, Thriving Through Uncertainty. If you have it and you want to read or reread the part I'm reading to you, it is oh, great. It's those Roman numeral things. So I don't know what it is. It's in the introduction and it's like, I think it's 21, but the section is I'm practicing and thriving right beside you. So I'm going to read you just a part of it to introduce what we're going to be talking about tonight. And then we're going to dive on in. So because the reason I'm reading this to you, by the way, is because so many of us feel like, what's wrong with me that I don't have clarity? What's wrong with me that I don't know what I want? What's wrong with me that I can't make it happen? What's wrong with me? And what I want you to hear in this is what's right with you, because you're on an amazing journey and you've stepped out of ordinary time and you've stepped out of an ordinary life. And so it's a little different for those of us who are daring bigger things and daring bigger dreams. It's going to unfold a little bit differently than for people who might not be, right? So I'm just going to read this to you. An inspired life is the result of owning your truth, following your own indwelling authority. It's the intimate landscape of learning how to listen to and trust the precision of your intuition or guidance. This is a life that isn't on any map. As I grow deeper in my work, message, and personal life, like everyone who is on a path of evolution, I find myself continuing the, quote, hero's journey, the walk into a mythical forest for the grail. Some days it's dark and dank, and I wonder what the hell I'm really following. Maybe I don't want to be a stupid hero. Maybe I just want to be rescued by some nice knight, preferably one who loves a woman who has an occasional homicidal hormonal mood swing or two. On the worst days, I've feared I'm not following anything except a delusion. I know some of you feel this. I feared I'm not following anything except a delusion, and now something stinky, clawed, and real is following me, like maybe credit card companies or debt. Those are ad-libbing. That's not in the book. And then there's other days. These are the days when you walk through the darkness resolved. You decide to bet the farm on your own life. You call yourself an inspired pilgrim instead of a fool. You walk deeper into your life. And then, just a few steps farther from the darkest patch of forest, you come upon a clearing, a meadow, 1,000 yellow buttercups, and the sun gleams in a way that paints your name, your nickname, on each petal of every flower, and you know in an undeniable way that you are exactly where you are meant to be. It's a greater sense of security than any amount of money could offer you. It's hitting the mother of all jackpots, the great sweet Powerball of the universe. These are the times of knowing that you have been loved and seen and heard. There is so much joy in having trusted yourself and realizing that you were never off kilter or flawed. You were different. You were compelled. You were keeping a promise to yourself. It is the most extraordinary feeling to have maintained your own faith and conviction in something and to be right, to discover the magic, an extraordinary portal that no one else knew. Only you know the secrets you hold, even where they may not have risen to the surface of your consciousness. Only you know the potential that beckons you. Only you feel this almost unwanted tug of glory in your bones. This is the adventure of your lifetime. I don't want you to miss it. So I wanted to share that with you just because I feel very, very strongly about that Many of us are daring to walk off the beaten path in life. Some of us are getting pushed off the beaten path. Some of us are getting shut out of the doors of the beaten path. Whatever, however you get there, you get there. But we are learning how to listen to something that is deeper within us, and that is amazing. And that is not easy. And it is a new language, and it is a new way. And that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about, like some of the tips of how to do that, how to tips to get clear. And hopefully some of these thoughts or ideas are softening you a little bit. And in that softness, that inspiration starts to arise, right? So I don't know about you, but first of all, I guess I want to thank all of you, for those of you who wrote in, and for those of you who are here, and for those of you who are listening later. Thank God for you. Thank God you have questions. Thank God you have uncertainty. Thank God you are the souls who are doing it differently. You are the souls who are not settling. You are the souls who are daring to question, even when you're too young, or you're too old, or you're not enough this, or you don't have that. Thank God you are questioning your life. That's what we're here for. We're here to explore. We're here to dare. That is not a weakness in you. That's a strength. And for me, I believe this is a tribe of mavericks, of people who are daring to live from an inspired place, because there's something so alive and beautiful that wants to happen in your lifetime. And I don't want you to miss it, because I've seen people create the life of their dreams. I've created the life of my dreams. I'm still creating it. I don't want you to miss that ride. And so that's what this is about. And again, you'll talk to other people. Perhaps you may be related to some of them. You'll talk to other people and they'll make you feel weird. Like, you still don't know? You still don't know? You know, my mother would always go, "You're so restless. You're so restless. Can't you just settle down? You're so restless," you know? And then you'd feel like, wow, I thought that was a good thing to have self-inquiry. I didn't realize it was a bad thing, right? And then she'd even be like, "You're going to find yourself. You lost yourself somewhere. Now you're going to find yourself," you know? And so, again, just where you just start feeling like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And so please borrow my voice and know this is what's right with you. To be on this journey is to constantly question, and not in an obsessive ruminating way, but in a self-inquiry way. And also, it doesn't mean that we get one answer and then we're there. Right? One answer and then you're there. For me, this is a journey that's going to continue, where I'm constantly going to be aware. I'm constantly going to be asking. I'm constantly going to be paying attention. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the reasons we don't get clarity, and then I'm going to throw it out to question and answer, and we're going to have some conversation. And I've got a lot of great stuff planned. So I'm going to just tell you a few more tips. We're going to have some conversation together. I have a great exercise we're going to use, and then I'm going to do some wrap up of some tips to keep in mind. So just so you have a little lay of the land here. So one of the things that I see constantly that stops us from being clear about what we really want is that sometimes, and you may know who you are, we're asking from desperation. We're asking from pain. We're asking from agitation. Like, I just want an answer already. I just want an answer. I just want to figure it out already. I just want to get there. If I could just get there, right? And we have that thought. That desperation, that agitation, that irritation may be blocking the flow of creativity, blocking that flow of inspiration, blocking that receptivity. So there's a line in A Course in Miracles, there's a concept in A Course in Miracles, and many of you may know I've taught A Course in Miracles and continue to teach it. I've taught it for close to 30 years. It is the source of everything brilliant in my life. And one of the concepts in the Course in Miracles, and I want you to take this on for yourself tonight, maybe this is your one big takeaway even, is that most of us think that if I get an answer, if I get direction, then I will feel peace of mind. If I just get that answer, if I just get that new job, if I just get that check comes in, if I could just lose that weight, if I could just get that coworker to see my point of view, whatever it is, if I could just get this one thing resolved, then I will feel peace of mind. And what A Course in Miracles teaches us is that when I feel peace of mind, when I choose to feel peace of mind wherever I am, that's when I get answers. That's when things shift. That's when things move, right? So again, I'm thinking I've got to get it all resolved and then I'll feel peaceful, but it's the exact opposite. So what I want you to imagine doing with your life is, if you're making yourself wrong for any reason, if you're feeling like you're not in the right life, you're not in the, you should be further along, you should be this, you should be that, you should know answers, it should have happened by now. If any of that is going on, I would love you to spend whatever time you need to start to embrace where you are now. I don't want you to go further. I don't want you to get ahead as much as I want you to get here. I want you to get here, and I want to embrace your life, your beautiful soul right now, because something is happening here, even in the inquiry, here, even in the frustration, here, even in the lesson, right? And then answers are going to come. So we can talk more about that, but I just wanted to give you that. That's one of the main blocks I see why people don't get clarity. Here's another one. Another huge block that I see for people is the reason we don't get answers. Sometimes it's because we don't want them. We don't want them. We want to stay in the question, like, oh, I want to investigate and think about it a little longer and question and maybe not have to do anything, right? And not have to face my fears. So that's, sometimes there's that, like, I want to stay in my mind or my head and really not in my life. But the bigger part of this, because this is the part that I know really blocked me, was sometimes you don't get clarity because the clarity you're getting, you're rejecting. Sometimes you don't get clarity because the clarity you're getting, you're rejecting. You get a clarity, you get an answer, you get an idea, you get an inspiration, but your brain shuts it down or doesn't recognize it as an answer, right? And so many times we are trying to hold on to a certain identity or an image or a way of thinking, or we have a preconceived idea of what our answer needs to be. And we're kind of like secretly hoping, if I ask the right therapist, then I'll get that answer. If I ask the right psychic, I'll get that answer. If I just, like, we're always trying to manipulate the truth into what we think it should be. And the truth is here to set you free, baby. The truth is here to rock your world. The truth is here to transform us, right? And so the truth is here to invite us into transformation, maybe where we've never been before. So how this worked for me, a lot of you know my story. I was going to a therapist for a while I was practicing law, and I'd be in that office all the time, just begging him, tell me what I'm supposed to be, just tell me what I'm supposed to do. And I don't know about you, they always go like, what do you think? Or what do you feel? And I always just feel like, well, can I pay you more money? Just tell me what just spell it out. Let's do the fast plan, which never works, by the way. If you're rushing this, it never works. And what would happen was he would say, well, you said you'd like to write. You said you'd like to write. And I'd be like, well, yeah, true, but what am I going to do with my life? I would just completely discount that answer because it wasn't in my acceptable list of answers. It wasn't in the checked off box. And so you might be getting an answer that says, I don't want to do anything, or I want to take more time, or I want to date this person, or I don't want to date that person, or whatever it is. And our mind is shutting it down because our mind is trying to manufacture an answer that's in an acceptable box. And what I'm going to ask you to think about is, if you want an answer in your life, two things. One, we're not looking for answers, huge answers, maps, the meaning of our whole lives, right, all at once. All I want you to do is come up with a next step, just a next step, a next shift. We're not trying to have the whole big thing. We're just trying to have one little thing, right? And then the other thing is, ask a bigger question. Ask a bigger question. And by that, I mean, like for me, it's always like, what do you love? What would you love? Let's get out of what we think is reality. Let's get out of what we think is possible. And let's start getting into, oh my God, what would I love if I was giving myself permission? Because I know a lot of you think, oh my God, I hate that question. I ask myself that all the time. I'm so sick of that question. But usually what we're really asking is, what do I love? What do I want that makes money? What do I love? What do I want that I don't need a degree for? What do I love? What do I want that my friends aren't going to laugh at, right? And so we're just narrowing it down. And so, by the way, I felt like I loved the questions that came in. I've structured this whole experience based on the questions that came in. And some of them were really funny because like, I'm saying ask a bigger question. Some of the questions were really narrow, like, what is the most marketable idea I could do to make the most amount of money in the quickest amount of time while putting no effort in, while wearing a green shirt? No, they didn't say that, but it was very similar to that. It was like all these like specifications. You're doing the same thing. You are asking these really tiny, tiny questions that your answer, your truth has to fit into this tiny, complicated box, and it doesn't do that. So more than anything, the whole point of this experience, the sweet spot is, can I be open? Can I receive whatever I'm meant to receive? Can I begin again? And can I open even wider to whatever wants to spark now? And it might not be what I think. I might think I'm asking about career, and I really might get something about relationship, or I might get something about my health, or I might get something about money, right? So again, you're just going to start noticing those kinds of things, what comes up for you. I'm just going to make sure I'm staying on my outline and that I'm not like totally off track here. Okay, good enough. So you know what? I am going to, I have a bunch of questions people asked, but I want to throw it out to some of you live. I want to get some interaction and hear from some of you. So this is one of the real big advantages of being on video, just saying, because you could raise your hand and I could see you, but I may just call on some of you who are hiding anyway. I'd love to know if you wanted to get clarity on anything or shift anything, just maybe raise your hand if you're on video. I see, is that Tam, I don't know, your Tamva is what it says. Did I get you? Okay. Say something because I'm not hearing you.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. What can we shift, or what would you like clarity on?
Well, I've been diving into a download for a vision, Black women reading aloud.
Say that again, for Black women living out
aloud.
Yes.
And also trying to launch a business that will liberate me from my day job.
Right on.
Exactly what you just said.
Right on.
Including paying the coaches who are like, where's your clarity? You're not investing enough.
Yeah.
Do our program successfully.
I would watch that.
Frustrated and investing in the cool kids clubs.
Yeah.
And then finally going back to my root of art.
Yes.
And just coming off of a week in Taos.
Yes.
With my poetry again.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. You just said something so important of so often when we're scared and we really want a new life or a dream life, it's very tempting to pay other people for answers, right? Or to pay other people for a track. And a lot of marketers will capitalize on that. We'll say, well, you're not going to get the real life unless you do it this brilliant way that I have my 8 easy steps, my 10 blah, blah, blah. And then if it's not working, it's your problem because you didn't invest enough, And so that is the beauty and the maddening part of this path, is that no one has our answers. No one has our answers. You have it, and you said something beautiful. You said, I'm going back to my roots. I'm going back to my art. I'm going back to what's inside me. And that's a beautiful way, by the way, because your art and your love, getting back, and for some of you it's art, for some of you it's not. So for some of you it's exercise, for some of you it is relationship. We're all different, but whatever it is that connects you gets you in touch with your strength and your higher consciousness, which will then give you your answers. But you have a gorgeous answer. So by the way, I'll just say something really quick to you about that, just because it's a beautiful vision. I love it, by the way. Thank you. And by the way, those of you, there's so many beautiful visions. I want to cry sometimes when I hear what people really want to do. It's just so beautiful, and our world needs you so much. And so many times we're thinking that I have to do this to do that. I have to, where your mind might be setting it up already. Like, okay, I've got to launch this business and I've got to make this much money. So then that way I can quit my day job. And the universe might be saying, yeah, no dice. No, sorry. That's not how it's going to work for you. Maybe it is, it's how it's going to work for you. But again, my own work, and it's been, it's been challenging, has been, can I be open to whatever I'm meant to do the way I'm meant to do it? So if you've ever read my book, Inspired and Unstoppable, you know that like I struggled a lot with the business mechanisms and how you do something, how you're supposed to succeed, because everybody's got their map in their way. And finally, I realized that I was being told that the same force that inspired the dream would also inspire the means. The same force that would inspire the dream would also inspire the means. But I had to be open to that. And so for you, it might be maybe, my personal thing that I like to advise people to do is I want you giving all your love and attention to your dreams. I don't want you putting pressure on them to make money. Right? When I started my coaching business, and even now, I never want to be looking at you as, God, I hope you have an issue because I got a bill. God, I hope you have a really big issue because I just got some big bill. So if you don't have an issue, let's talk about your mother, right? We'll create an issue, right? I never want to do that, right? I never want to be putting pressure on what I love to make money. What I love does make money. It makes very fine money. Thank you, God. But it has come because what I chose to do was support myself any which way I could with like side jobs, whatever, so that I could focus on what I loved and not put pressure on it. So there might be a million different ways, but oh my God, thank you. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. And you'll have to keep us posted on what happens. So anybody else want to share something that's going on? Odd, yay you. I'm unmuting you. Hi.
Thanks. Yeah. All right. My question has to do with idleness. How do you tell the difference between idle eating the rest or being idle because you're farting around procrastinating?
Oh, that's such a good question. That is such a good question. Wish I had an answer. No. Wish I knew. You're screwed. No.
Yeah, for some reason the people are being very echoey, so maybe you can repeat some of the things people say.
I will, Paul. I know that. Thank you. So the question that came up was, how do you know the difference between when you're being idle because you need rest and you need to just not be doing, and then how do you know the difference between idleness is procrastination, fear, right? And so I'll just say a few quick things on that. I think the biggest thing is always how it feels, right? Is always how it feels. Like, and so for me, it's not a neat little package, because sometimes what's happened for me is I do need to be idle, and I do need rest, and I do need to vegetate, and I do need to, so many of us are so focused and so conscious and so diligent, but then, like, you do need to just take off, you do need to kick back, right? And let things settle. But then it like sometimes crosses the line somewhere. So, and so it's like, almost like I've noticed at different times, I always give this analogy of like, sometimes it really is the right answer to watch an episode of your favorite show and just give yourself a break. It really is an answer to be kind and loving to yourself. But then sometimes it crosses that line where now you're with Netflix, you're 20 episodes in. How did that happen? Wait, I was going to write tonight. What the heck happened to that? And so again, this is constantly a path of paying attention to how does it feel and how does it feel. And again, it might be experimentation. We're going to get it wrong before we get it right? We're going to go too far sometime. We're going to, and the thing, like I have in my book, or guilt. I was just going to say that in my book, This Time I Dance, I have a chapter of the year of sleeping dangerously, because I needed rest and I needed sleep. But here's what happened, and this may be happening to some of you. If you take rest, but you do it with guilt, it's not rest. Right? So you're screwed. It's like neither one happens. You didn't get to rest, you didn't get to take off, and you didn't get something done, right? So I think the biggest question is maybe not even how do I know what's idle, what's not idle, and this is for everyone. How do I not judge myself? How do I not judge myself? How do I take an action without judgment and with love and with self-trust and see how it feels? Because I've had, people who asked me at book signings, they'll come up to me about the Year of Sleeping Dangerously, and they'll ask me, how long did it last? How long did it last? And I always think, it lasted so long because I fought it so much. I judged the hell out of myself. I was judging like this is wrong and other people are out there making stuff happen and what's wrong with you. And please keep in mind, the inspired path is a path of undoing more than a path of doing. This is not a path of doing. This is a path of undoing, relaxing, getting connected again, and then taking inspired actions, excited actions. Because sometimes when you rest and you're really connected, you get creative again. You want to write or you want to be creative. It's like you need rest. Like when I lead writing retreats, one of the first things I do is I make people rest. They hate my guts. They all hate me. They're like, I'm paying money for this and I want to write a novel, and it's like, and I want you to write a novel too, but I want you to rest first. Oh my God, somebody's dog is visiting us. I got totally distracted. Michelle, I love your dog. And he's going to guide us in non-judgment here. So that's a great question. Thank you. So I think the bigger question for all of us is, how do I not judge, right? How do I practice that? And also, here's the other thing. Let's say it was procrastination. Let's go to the evil P word, right? It was procrastination. I really was screwing off because I was scared. Well, maybe part of you is scared and doesn't need judgment and doesn't need to be banished and doesn't need to be spanked now. It needs to be talked to like, oh, honey, you're scared. What can we do to make it less scary? What can we do to make this exciting? Or like I sometimes have to be a loving parent to myself. Like, I always talk about going to yoga. I never, ever want to go to yoga, but I know it's good for me. So like, I'll be a loving parent, like, honey, you'll feel better. You'll feel better once you're there judging all those skinny women. You will love it. You'll feel so good about yourself, but it's true because part of me is a little kid that does need nurturing and kindness, but also needs boundaries and also needs encouragement, right? So thank you. Fantastic question. I'm going to answer some of the ones that came in, but I want to also talk to some of you live. I'm switching around here to see anybody got a hand up on this side. Anybody, if you could have a clarity, is that a hand? Is Deborah S., is that a hand or are you wiping your nose? Okay, good.
Yes, I'm at an odd angle. I forgot. So I recently felt like inspired action around work that I've been doing for a while and got basically nothing back, and it was pretty heartbreaking. And at the same time, I was seeking the action when I've been dealing with a lot of serious stuff, and I thought that I would kind of, on the other side of it, but then all these breakdowns were happening, so I've been needing to really pull back energy to focus on health stuff. But now I'm starting to get some balance back in my energy, but I feel so heartbroken and so not trusting myself because I felt like this was an inspired action, and so now I'm scared. I'm definitely having one or two desperate moments. I mean, but it's the sort of heart like.
So I'm going to repeat what you said, only just in case it was echoey and hard for people to hear. And so, and you said a lot of great things in there. So basically, she was saying that she felt like she has been taking some inspired actions, and she was following inspired actions, but didn't get the results that she thought, or did nothing move the way she thought. And so she kind of feels scared or kind of heartbroken. And you said you also had some health challenges coming up and needed to deal with that. Here's the thing, for many of us, we don't know the path, right? We don't even know the path. I can't tell you how many times I've taken an inspired action and I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is going to be it. I know it. I know it. I know it, right? My brain knew it. And I was right to take that action, but the result I thought I was going to get might have been different than what I thought, right? So like my brain comes up with, ooh, if you do this, you'll get that. And Deborah, I know this. It's never wrong to take an inspired action. It's never wrong. And it's not a one-time shot. So for instance, I've written pieces of writing, let's say, that I thought were brilliant for an article somewhere, and then they never went anywhere. They didn't get published or whatever. And now, 5 years later, I'm using that piece in a book, and so it's like going somewhere wonderful. And so like, again, you just don't know, because the alternative is to, like not take any inspired actions. And then the other thing also for many of us, if a health thing is coming up, let's say, or a money thing is coming up for some of us or whatever, this is a path of healing. It's not a linear path. It's not if I do A, then I'll go to B, then I'll go to C. A spiritual path tends to be, if I go to A, then I'll go to Y, then I'll go to AH, then I'll go to whatever. It will make no sense to our linear minds. And yet it's brilliant, Deborah. And so first of all, I would thank you so much for taking those actions. I would thank myself so much for showing up, for daring to show up, for daring to trust it. Again, let's say I'm just making up an example. Let's say you showed up for a date and you showed up in your true self, and that other person didn't, and it didn't go somewhere. And yeah, it's disappointing, or a job, but I showed up. And that's what matters. And for me in my life, I'm always practicing, can I show up? Can I show up? And what am I learning? And the results aren't in yet, Deborah. I think more is coming. Here's what happens to many of us. The most dangerous thing, it's one of the reasons I wrote Thriving Through Uncertainty. It was the main reason I wrote it, was because I saw this constantly is we'd have an idea about where something should go, or we tried something, we finally did it, we finally believed in something, and then it didn't go the way we wanted, or something didn't happen. And then we shut down. Then we got angry. Then we shut our hearts. And then we thought, well, this stuff doesn't even work for me. I don't even believe in this anymore. And so for myself, that's what happened to me a lot, right? And I had to learn how to keep opening my heart again anyway, begin again anyway, dare again anyway. So thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I have deeply shut down. Just at the beginning of this call, everything you said about,
beginning again. That is always, thank you. That is always going to be the trick for all of us, is that if you've shut down, you've stopped believing, you stopped trusting it, you stopped believing in yourself or the dream you had, it's not the dream is failing. It's not anything that's going wrong. Some part of us shut down and stopped believing. And it's like, how do we open up again? And how do we dare again? And how do we trust again? So, and again, this is not easy. I'm not saying that, this is just easy, but that's what an inspired path is. And that's what the miracle is. Because Deborah, you're going to have a moment where you're going to be so damn glad that you did it. And here's the thing, every inspired moment you've ever had hooks into another inspired moment. It's like a deposit in a bank. You're accumulating all this stuff in the bank and you don't even know you're accumulating it. And then you get back in that state of mind and it's all waiting for you. And you're going to be so grateful you did. So thank you. Thank you. I want to make sure that I answer some of the questions. I tried to take some of the questions that told, I tried to kind of take the questions that represented most of the questions that were coming in so that we could answer a few of us. So I'm going to answer some questions, and we're going to jump into an exercise, and then we're going to do something else. So just hang tight here. So here is one of the questions from, and by the way, you can also always be chatting on the side here and hanging out with all these amazing, beautiful souls, and maybe talking about what clarity do you want, or what's going on for you, or where are you listening from? That's always a fun thing to share too. So this is from Charis, and she said, how can you tell the difference between something not right for you and you holding yourself back? How can you tell the difference between something not right for you and you holding yourself back? It's a great question, and I think it always, again, goes back to how does it feel? Does it feel right to stop? If you feel like, the thing that it's not coming through and it's not coming through, does it really feel right to stop, or does that feel disappointing, or does that feel, negative? I have a great example of this, really, really painful example. When I first started writing This Time I Dance, like in the first year, I was writing and writing. I was on fire. I was, I just quit law. I was becoming a writer. I was just doing all this great stuff. And this is way back when, in the days of floppy disks of computers. That's how old I am. And somebody had asked me, are you saving your writing on the computer? And I didn't even know what the heck they meant. So that was like the wrong answer, right? Like, what does it mean, saving the writing on the computer? But of course, like he was saying, are you backing it up or whatever? So then I tried backing it up or whatever. I lost the entire book. I lost everything I'd written. All the files were gone because it said something like 90,000 bytes free. And I'm like, how could 90,000 bytes be free? I have my book on this disk, right? And it's like, I had erased the entire thing. By the way, the universe has a really, really malicious sense of humor, if you ask me. It had a file. The only word that was saved just said trust. I kid you not. That was the only thing that was still left. I was like, oh, screw you. I do not trust. And I was devastated. I was completely devastated. I just left a legal career. I'd gone to Harvard Law School and I'd done all these right things, and I just walked out of everything. And I had based everything on this, and it was gone, poof, gone. And so it was the same thing. Like, is the universe trying to tell me to stop? Is it trying to tell me, hey, you're not that great of a writer. Maybe you should take up another thing of, and I just kept being with it and being with it and being with it and journaling and being angry and sad and scared. And finally I came back to, I don't know why, but this is the only thing I want. I still want this. I still want this. And so that was my answer, right? If erasing an entire book, couldn't stop me. And by the way, later on, I can tell you, everything happens for a reason and blah, blah, blah. And I can say that first book was probably more my therapy of who did me wrong and what's wrong and blah. And the universe probably said, that's lovely. That's fantastic. And it's poetically crappy, but could you please write something useful for readers now? And so it went delete, right? So again, that was my example. So again, if you're wondering if something's holding you back or what does it mean, please keep in mind, you are going to go through challenges. That is the purpose of this path. You are going to go through challenges. Just because you're going through a challenge does not mean you are doing it wrong. It means that your blocks are coming up. Your ideology that wants to be shifted is coming up. It's almost like what we were talking about with Deborah, like, where am I shutting down? Where am I shutting down? Where am I believing a lie about myself or about what I can have instead of the real truth about me? Where am I tempted to believe in something I think is practical or reasonable instead of what is true about me, right? These beliefs are hard to shift, and so they'll come up over and over and over. They'll block us over and over and over, but we're the mavericks who are doing this differently, right? So I thought that was a great question. Here's another one that came up. This question came up in 1,000 different ways. So I took this one because this is from Sheila, and she said, how do you focus on only one or two main things? How do you focus on only one or two main things? I get 100 different ideas, and I need to hone my energy. How do I hone my energy? And so I thought that was great. So a lot of you asked, how do I pick the right thing? How do I pick the right path? How do I pick the right answer? And I get that question a lot. And one of the things I'll say is, first of all, I do not believe you can ever get this wrong. I really do not believe you can ever get this wrong, because I think you'll go down one path that'll give you information. It'll take you to another path that'll give you information. But again, the mind has many ideas. The mind has bright ideas. Mind is, oh, this, or that, or maybe this, or maybe that, right? The heart or the soul, not so much. The heart or the soul, the gut, the thing you will stay with till you die. Those things are deeper. And sometimes those ideas are going to fold in together. Sometimes they're all going to. So I wouldn't worry so much about the ideas. Sometimes if you're an idea person, and I'm looking at some of you, Louise, you know who you are. Can't help it. But you know, if you're an idea person and you're creative and you have lots of ideas, first of all, that's a gorgeous, gorgeous skill. Do not ever make yourself wrong about that. That's a beautiful skill to have a creative, bouncy mind. You know, that's a beautiful thing. But one of the things you might do on a practical level is maybe you're going to write those ideas down. You know, you're going to write them all down. And you're going to see, of these 10 ideas, of these 400 ideas, of these 3 ideas, which of the ones have heat? Which ones really have the energy for me right now? I don't care if they're good ideas. I care about right now in this moment. What feels alive to me? What feels fun to me? What feels, ooh, that feels good to me, right? So again, that's all we're paying attention to, right? Is that we're just going to look at where the energy is right now. That's the thing about clarity. It's always in the moment. It's not in your whole life. It's not in the whole map. It's not in the whole strategy. It's in the moment, right? So again, the other thing I will also say about that is the mind has lots of ideas, but when you start diving in, some of them will compel you to stay with them, right? Some of them will be deeper, right? So again, have all the ideas. That's fantastic. Write them all down, make your brain happy, but then just like ask your heart or your soul, what has heat for me right now? Like right now, if I wasn't judging myself at all, where's my energy right now? Of these 20 things, where do I really feel like it? So I thought that was a great, great question. And did I want to say anything else about that? Oh, here's the other one thing I wanted to say about that. I had an issue with that when I was first trying to figure out my life's path or whatever. I'm a commitment phobe. So like, I'm always scared of commitment. You know, like some people like are good with commitments. I am not. And so like, I'm always scared, like, what if I choose the wrong one? And then the great thing comes out later, you know, like, and so I finally realized that my answer was to commit fully for now, to commit fully for now, but not forever, right? Commitment didn't mean I have to do this forever. It just meant go into something fully. Let something reveal something to you. Ideas are all equal, all equal. If you dive in, they'll tell you what they are, right? So for me, it's about committing fully for now, not forever, right? And so it's like committing in the moment. So that was a really great answer for commitment phobe. And I've done relationships like that too. I commit fully for now, and for now extends for years and years and years. So what else do I want to tell you? So Dave wrote in, this was another great question that I thought represented a lot of us. Dave wrote in, how do I get excited about my creative projects again? How do I rekindle my own spark? How do I find the excitement I once had again? I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling blah, I'm feeling empty. How do I get back? And I thought that was a really great question, and it was representative of a lot of people. There's a few things. First of all, I guess what I want to say is, you don't just lose excitement. It's not like, oh, I had excitement in my pocket and look, it fell through. Like, what happened to my excitement? We don't just lose excitement. Here's what happened. You might have been excited. You might have been connected. You might have been happy. And then some judgment snuck in. Some idea snuck in that said, that's not going to make money. You're too old for that. That's a stupid idea. If you were supposed to succeed, it should have happened by now. I mean, like, some idea snuck in that you believed, and all systems went down, right? And the same thing, we shut our hearts down again, right? So you might start looking at that like, where am I judging myself? Where am I disconnecting from my real truth? Where am I disconnecting from my love? Here's the other thing, you know, especially on this path, so many of us want to be in our mission, in our love, in our passion. And sometimes we just need to be loving about where we are. Sometimes if you do feel disconnected, or you're tired, or you're not on fire, that's okay. Let's be loving. Let's be non-judgmental. I promise you, the quickest way to movement is through non-judgment. The quickest ways to move forward is to say, I'm not going to judge this moment. I'm going to love myself right here, just as it is, which is so hard because most of us don't want to be right here. But when I can do that, when I can create a loving relationship with myself right here, right now, no matter what, that's when things shift. Because sometimes some of us are going through healing. We're going through something that needs to be felt. We've been disappointed. We've been angry. We've been frustrated. We've been betrayed. Whatever it is, we maybe need to feel that. And we're trying to jump over that to, I want to get to the fire. I want to get to the excitement, right? And so, and believe me, I'm an excitement junkie. I'm guilty of this. I definitely want to be woohoo. Paul always reminds me, I took a watercolor class many, many years ago, and the teacher had come over to me, and I had all kinds of like colorful stuff everywhere. And she was telling me, you want to have some wash in there. You want to have some wash, like some of this gray, brown in between things so that things stand out. And it's been such a great metaphor for my life, because Paul will always remind me, you might want to have some wash, because I want everything to be sparky and everything to be whatever. And it's like, no, life is not like that. There's those periods of calm, and there's those periods of whatever. But again, can I keep my heart open to myself there as well? So for anybody who's feeling passionless, blah, I promise you, it's shifting, it's moving. If you do not judge it, it will inform you. If you love it in this moment, and you love yourself, and you stay curious and not decisive about this is how it is and this is what's happening, right? If you stay curious and you stay focused on, ooh, what is making me interested right now? Where is there any wisp that's calling me right now? If I don't judge anything, and I just follow it, and I just follow it, and I just follow it, right? Anything, something else is going to happen, right? So great question. And I think the biggest part of that too is let's not put pressure on it. Let's not put pressure on it. And by the way, if you're feeling stuck, or you're feeling empty, or you're feeling blah, start noticing, what story am I telling myself about this? What story am I telling myself about this? Maybe I'm telling myself the story of, you're washed up, it's over, you have nothing, everybody else is swinging from the chandelier in great lives, blah, 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 right? You're telling yourself a story. It's not just empty. It's just that there's a story going on, and we're going to shift that story, right? That's always going to be the work. So again, for me, always this path about getting clear about being in a sweeter life is always going to be changing the way I think. All my work is always about shifting the way that you think. So we're going to do an exercise with that really soon. But I want to just cover a few more questions here. Okay, Tammy wrote, same thing. I need clarity in knowing what I want. I was living for others for so long. I'm at a loss in knowing what is right for me, which is a beautiful place to be, because now you're discovering what's right for you. It's okay to feel awkward. It's okay to feel like I don't know, because we're in a new time, right? But then she said, I'm afraid to make a mistake. Ba, 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 right? I'm afraid to make a mistake. And then she goes on, my last mistake was a huge one. No judgment there. My last mistake was a huge one that I am still experiencing the consequences of. So I'm not diminishing whatever happened, Tammy. I'm doing this for all of us, because we all do this for ourselves, that we, again, judge it. And I want you to be free to make mistakes. You have to be free to make mistakes. I don't believe, let's find a new word for that, because I don't think there are mistakes. I think they're information. I think they're learning. Can you imagine if a toddler got up who was learning how to walk and they fell? First of all, if they're learning how to walk, they have to fall down, because when they fall, they learn balance, and they learn, oh, this is how you hold it right? This is what I need to do. Can you imagine if the toddler fell and said, whoa, I'm not doing that again. Whoa, I am so not doing that again. That was so the wrong path. And it's, no, it wasn't. Right? We need to get back in the game, get back on the saddle. So if any of you are feeling like you made a tragic mistake, that's the first thing I would work on, is let's look at that differently. Let's mine into, what are you learning because of that? Maybe that's the only way your soul could have learned those things. Maybe you needed those things. Maybe that had, again, maybe you're telling yourself that this was a mistake when this was the learning of a lifetime. I went to Harvard Law School. I spent a lot of time and energy and effort and brain power and hell to get a degree that I basically never ever used. I used it for a while, and then that was it. I could certainly tell myself that that was a big mistake. But for me, well, first of all, I've turned it around and my whole career is based on that, right? My whole career is based on that mistake, right? And if I hadn't made that mistake and found that answer, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So some of our mistakes are leading us to our answers, which are leading us to our life calling. But even more than that, for me personally, I needed to pursue a career that made money. I needed to do that so that I could see personally that that didn't do it for me. That I love money. I love money a lot, but it's not my motivation. It doesn't do it for me. The things that other people say are the right life and great and is going to rock your world just didn't do it for me. I needed to know that for myself. I needed to make that decision and find that out in my bones so that I could be free. I have never questioned that again. When I'm doing the work I love, I never question, oh, but you could have been making more money. I know for me, that's not the gig. I want both. I want to make, I love making money, but I got to do it the way from stuff I love. So again, some of your mistakes might be guiding you someplace else that you could never have gone. So I'm going to answer one other thing, and then we're going to just journey in. Actually, I'm going to answer two other things. I'm lying to you. Lois said, I'm navigating life as a single person after losing my husband to cancer. So I thought that was a really representative of many of us are in transitions that maybe are not easy transitions, things we may not have asked for, things that are challenging. Please be incredibly gentle with yourself. The greatest journey you will ever go on is the journey of being kind to yourself, the journey of listening to yourself, the journey of befriending yourself in this lifetime. And, Lois, I'm going to tell you, you're not just a single person. You're this love and this magnitude and this light that is in you. And while you may think you're alone, I do not believe you are. I believe that there is a love and a force that is with you always, and that your life is now expanding in ways that you may not have gone into at a different time. And so again, when many of us are going through changes, you may have lost a job, you may have lost a relationship, you may be in debt, you may be going through a diagnosis, all kinds of things happen in life. We may feel vulnerable. And from that vulnerability, can we just be kinder? Vulnerability is going to lead to great strength and great awareness. But can we stop putting pressure on ourselves in that vulnerability, right? So I thought that was a really good one. This is a quickie. I'll just do this because I thought it was good representative of other people. And we touched on this a little bit already. Catherine just said, I just finished training as a life coach. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out my niche. It's been a struggle for me to find my voice and really own whatever the niche is. I feel incredibly stuck. So I read that question because, again, I think it's representative of what we talked about before with Tama, I think is your name. Yes? Okay, cool. I was just not sure. Same thing, that you may be taking a program and your program may tell you, you need a niche and you need to find your voice and you need this and you need that. And there's so much on the internet now and so many experts and you need a brand and you need this. I personally don't believe in any of that. I really honestly don't. I never ever named my niche. My niche named me. And I never found my brand. My brand found me, whatever that is. I still don't know what my brand is, but it finds me and it knows me. By the way, we have like 700 of us joining here. So that brand is beautifully working. So again, what I'd want to say to you is, you might be pursuing this formulaically rather than organically, right? This is an inspired path. You've just become a life coach, right? Let's find your way. Let's not listen to someone else. Let's find your way to the party, right? You might be putting so much pressure on yourself to find your voice and find that niche. And now you have to market it. And now you have to have a website for it. Now you have to have a brochure on it. And it's forever. And you better get a logo and you better get the right logo. And you should compare yourself to everybody else out there. It's hell. Right? That I do not believe that is how we get an answer in an inspired way. There is already an inspired answer in you. Your clients are already waiting for you. Your business is already waiting for you. But you have to find your light and your love and why you want to do this. And you need to play and explore. I needed to experiment. So many of you, if you're trying to find a specific one thing, let's start experimenting. Let's start playing. Let's start exploring all kinds of things, and then we'll see what comes up, right? So again, just giving yourself permission that way, and especially with career stuff or doing your own business, we put so much pressure on ourselves. And I deeply believe that this is a path of listening to that deeper path. So thank you for writing that. So I want to give an exercise, and then I want to give some tips after that. But we're going to do an exercise if you feel like doing it. I'm going to have you think about, you're going to be thinking about what you want clarity on or whatever. I'm going to just first have you, how I said the thing of like, I don't want you resisting your life. I want you asking from love and not desperation. Maybe you're going to write down 2 things or 3 things that are working in your life right now. 3 things that are working in your life right now, or 2 or 3 things that are good for you right now. So I'm going to tell you 3 things that we're going to do, and then I'm going to set you free to do this. 2 or 3 things that are really working in your life right now. And then you're going to start journaling a little bit about, if I didn't put any conditions on myself, I didn't put any pressure on myself, and to look for the answer. It's just, I'm taking all judgment off right now. I'm entering this sacred moment right now. What would I love? What would I love to do? What would I love to experience? Where am I feeling called right now? But you're going to do that after you've done the 3 things you love about your life. And then maybe after that, you're just going to think about, what's one breadcrumb I could follow? What's one tiny little thing I could follow from that? What's one tiny little step I could take? So we're just going to play with it. We're going to go for like about 3 minutes or so. So just let yourself, so 2 or 3 things you love about your life right now. And then we're going to look at, again, if I didn't put any conditions on it, no judgment at all, what would I love to experience? What is my heart's wanting right now for me? And then maybe what's one tiny shift or step or dedication I could make, or breadcrumb I could follow. So we're just going to take like 3 minutes, let yourself journal, play, meditate, whatever you want to do, and then we're going to do some great stuff. All righty. Yay. Thank you for joining me in that. And thank you for Brian, who is endorsing all my books. So that was not paid for, but much appreciated. So, but I normally would love to call on some of you and ask how some of that went, because I love to do that. But I want to make sure that I cover a few more points and stay somewhat on track with time, because I'm notoriously bad with time. But, and maybe at the end, I will take some of you if you're interested, if some of you want to hang out with me. So I do want to mention 2 quick things, and then I'm going to do a wrap up of some of the points that I want you to take with you, just to kind of crystallize it a little bit. So I'm going to mention just 2 quick things. I mentioned earlier that, again, if you can join me on retreat ever, there's nothing like it. They're really intimate. They're times out of time. We get to be together in beautiful places. I know sometimes you think you don't have time, you don't have money, but I can't advertise it enough. And it's hard to advertise it because it feels like, oh, you're selling yourself. I'm selling the experience, because that experience is magical. I know some of you have been on retreat with me, and it's not just me, it's the people who come that are just amazing. So please join me if you can, August 16th through the 18th at Omega for Thriving Through Uncertainty. Again, in upstate New York, they've got meditative gardens, healthy food, and we're going to, again, they just tend to be intimate, and we're going to spend the whole weekend really getting clear in sacred space and doing some meditations and guidance and just getting out of your life. So just wanted to mention that as an upcoming retreat. Also, I have some other retreats. You can always look at my retreat pages. The other thing I want to mention to you, some of you, I know many of you are already joining me, but if you have not joined my Inspired and Unstoppable Life Tribe, I wish you would. I hope you consider doing it. It's an amazing, amazing tribe of people. What we do is we do 2 Zoom calls like this a month. They're all recorded, so if you can't ever be live, they're recorded for you. And it's a continuous journey of support and a continuous journey of love, where each time we have a new theme and we have a new perspective, and I get to coach you over time. I get to work with you over time, and we get to work together over time. It's really affordable. It's $33 a month. So it's $99 for 3 months, which is $33 a month, which somebody pointed out to me recently is like $1 a day. So it's like, I think that it's worth $1 a day to support your love and your dreams. But hey, that's just me. But seriously, that tribe is amazing. I love the people in that tribe so much. And again, it's just a way to continuously get support and love. So I hope you'll join me. And I'm running a special because you've been in Sweet Spot, that if you join me, and it's $99, then you get a free A Course in Miracles, the next A Course Miracles group, which is a 4-week, yeah, exactly, which is a 4-week group that's also virtual. It's also video that you could watch anytime. So it's a really great deal. I just wanted to incentivize you to get support and to get love and to get traction for what's important to you. Because what happens for many of us is we get inspired and we get ignited and then we lose it. And this is a journey that's over time, right? So I just wanted to mention that to you. So thank you for listening to me on that. And I just want to give you some, again, just some wrap up ideas about getting clarity, just to kind of stay structured with that. And then I'll just hang out for a little bit afterwards if some of you can stay on, but I'm just trying to wrap up on time for those of you who have lives and need to do things. And so, because I would talk to you forever, as those of you in Life Tribe know. God, and it's so fun to see some of you. I'm seeing you, Alicia. My God. Oh my God. It's so fun. I love seeing the faces. And I love seeing the names. I know some of these names, even though you're hiding from me, but that's okay. No guilt. I keep repeating that. But so I want to just give you some different focuses. And by the way, that exercise, you might want to do that over and over and over, right? And I do want to hear some of those. So here's some different things to keep in mind about getting clarity. The first one, again, was stop resisting your situation. Stop resisting your situation, right? So pay attention to where you're asking your question from. Pay attention to where you're asking your question from. Am I asking it from desperation, agitation, irritation? I've got to make this different. Or am I asking this from love? Am I asking this from peace? Because I promise you, if we can find peace in this moment and forgiveness in this moment and love in this moment, new ideas will come, new clarities will come. If you want to get woo-woo on it, it's entering a different vibration. It's entering a different frequency. And I know for myself, when I'm on a different frequency, oh my God, different things happen that are incredible. You meet the right people, you say the right things, you open the right books, you write the right books. And so again, it's just, it's an amazing thing to do. Your mind is worth this commitment. Your mind is worth this focus. So the second thing that I would say is always ask the right question. Always ask the right question. And again, keep those questions large. What do I love? What would move me? What feels good? How can I love myself more now? If you start seeing yourself, asking questions that, what do I love that makes money? What do I love that, I haven't done already? What do I, how do I love this book that I'm sick of? Watch those questions, because there was another question that came in. There was a question that came in that somebody had written, said something like, what question should I be asking at this stage in my life? What question should I be asking at this stage in my life? It's a reasonable question, right? But if I were listening to that question, to me, it's leading the witness. This is where law does come in. It's leading the witness, right? Because I'm basically saying, what question should I ask at this stage in my life? Which basically is saying, I'm old, I'm young, I'm middle-aged, I'm whatever this stage of life is for any of us, right? And so it's already kind of limiting the answer. I don't think the questions are different for any stage. Your spirit is your spirit is your spirit is your spirit, and now is now is now, right? So again, that was just a sneaky question. It was a good question, but we all have these sneaky questions that sound reasonable and sound rational. I don't care about your rationale. I care about what's unreasonable. I care about what's unreasonably good for you, right? So again, asking what would feel good, what would feel alive for me, what would I love right now? And sometimes when I'm hurting or my heart is closed, it's hard to get in touch with that because my heart is closed and I'm hurting. And again, that's maybe a moment where I start noticing, wow, I need to forgive myself for something. I need to be kinder to myself. I need to look at that differently. Third thing was don't judge your desires. Don't judge your desires. When the desire comes up that says, I don't want to do anything, or wow, I want to go to Paris, or here's a good desire. I want to go to Tama's retreat. I think that's a perfect desire that you all should have. That is always the right answer. But whatever the desire is, don't clamp down. I do that all the time. I'll have a desire and my brain will clamp down and go, well, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. You don't have time. You don't have money. You're not equipped. You don't have the credentials. I mean, like the brain starts coming in. I want to allow you to have the desire to breathe a little bit, If I were working with you as a coach, what I would do is I'd want to hear that desire. I'd want to hear everything about it. I'd want to hear all about it because I know that desire is your destiny. And I know that desire is going to lead us somewhere. Because remember how I told you, you already have a path inside you. We're not trying to find an answer. We're not trying to find the thing. We're trying to listen. We're trying to follow it. We're trying to undo whatever's in the way of it, right? And so I know that desire is speaking to us for a reason. And so I'd want to know what that is, but you can't know what that is if you don't listen to it, if you just shut it down immediately, or you're trying to fit it into something you know. Keep in mind, an inspired path is always going to take you into a world you don't know yet. And that's the beauty of it. It's always going to take you where you've never been before. That's the beauty. That's why we're in this. If you want an ordinary life, there are very ordinary tracks to take. It's called drinking. It's called being miserable. It's called 9 to 5. It's called whatever it is. I mean, just like, there's plenty of ways, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with any of those things. I am saying that if you want an extraordinary life, you have to use extraordinary measures. And that doesn't mean taking wild leaps or wild whatever. It just means that I'm going to use different standards as I listen to myself. And I'm going to take consistent, small, inspired, amazing steps. And I'm not going to stop, right? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to take consistent, small, amazing steps. And I'm not going to stop. That's why I think this is a consistent path. And finally, the fourth thing that I want you to know in that is we're going to stop looking for an answer. We're going to stop looking for an answer, stop looking for a solution. We're just going to look for the next breadcrumb. You don't need a whole answer to your whole life. You just need a next breadcrumb. Just need a next step. Just need a next whiff. Just need a next invitation that's going to come, right? So again, sometimes and also this isn't a one-time thing. It's not a one-time thing. It's not like I get that one answer and then that's it. Right? So again, I'm going to keep staying open to that breadcrumb and that breadcrumb and that breadcrumb, right? So we're just going to keep paying attention to that. So I'm going to read you something to close with, and then I'll stay on for a little bit anyways afterwards, but just in case you guys need to go, I want you to hear this. Now I have to do it in great inflection because it's been advertised that way. Like no pressure or anything. And by the way, just so you know, I used to be terrified of reading out loud. I'm not afraid of speaking and connecting with people, but the idea of reading was terrifying to me. I don't know why. So it's always fun to hear that that it's good or whatever, just because I think there was something like, I like connecting with people, but when you're reading, it's like, oh my God, what if I lose my place? What if this? We all have our stupid voices in our head, but so I wanted to read you in closing. And by the way, I would love to hear from you. I would love to know what you got out of this. So if you want to email me, I'd love to know that. If you are in my Life Tribe already, please get on the Facebook group. I'd love to hear what came out of it for you and connect with you that way. But I'm going to read this. And some of you hopefully are going to be new Life Tribe people. So this is July 24th. I know we're in July 25th, but July 24th's quote was better. By the way, this is A Year Without Fear. This is one of my books. It's a daily reader. It's a daily mindset shift that I know a lot of you have. And it says, I need to be practical, my clients say, as though growing into everything they were meant to be would somehow be impractical, like wearing nothing but a tiara in a snowstorm. What they're really saying is, I want to stay within the parameters I know. I recognize myself in every single one of them. We are all longing for our own magnitude, yet still clutching to decisions that diminish us. Where can you trade in your rationalization for creative investigation? Where can you trade in your rationalization for creative investigation? Today, I am willing to make unusual choices that feel good Today, I am willing to make unusual choices that feel good. So I thought that was a beautiful way to close this call. I'm so proud of every single one of you. Thank you so much for being here on this journey with me. Thank you for being on this journey in this lifetime with me. It gives me so much courage knowing you're out there asking your vital questions, being moved. I'm going to hang out. If anybody has questions or thoughts or wants to share anything, we can hang out for a little bit more. So I'll just call on some of you if you're interested. You know what, Diane, I'm gonna bug you. Diane, you're out there. You just graduated from massage school, didn't you? I'm not hearing you. I don't know why. Uh-oh, I can't hear you. Say something.
Oh, I hear you.
Oh, okay. I hear you now. I
Yes.
couldn't hear you at first. Yes.
Yes,
Oh.
this past week and so
Congratulations.
thank you so much.
Congratulations. You did it. You did it. That's awesome. Anything come up out of tonight or anything you feel like asking or anything you feel like sharing that came up or?
Well, the taking little steps, because
Yes.
it's been this journey of almost 2 years going to school at night and working and figure it all out. So now it's here, almost.
Yes.
And then what? And then people, some people will ask like right away, oh, well, what next?
Yes.
And,
all those other people who are asking questions, right?
And right. And how are you going to figure this out and making money? And yeah, I mean, I have ideas, connecting with hospice because I volunteer. That's
Beautiful.
That's one piece.
Yes. So you nailed it though, Diane, you nailed it though, because I think you just said it before of, I'm just going to take some next steps and I'm going to take some next steps and let's not put pressure on this. So many of you may have the experience that you're answering your own questions and your own pain, but then you're answering other people, right? Like other people are asking you, well, what are you going to do? And and how much are you going to charge? And what are you going to do this? And now it's as though I went to school and then now that's it, right? So somebody else who had written in about coaching said the same thing. Like I graduated from coaching and now we think that's it. No, that's the beginning. Now we're beginning the journey. This is when it gets really fun because now we start exploring. And again, I would just give yourself, I'm saying this to you, but I'm saying this to everybody. Give yourself permission to take as long as it takes. It's worth a lifetime. If it's yours to do and there's going to be different things within it, it's worth everything. I'm so proud of you. It's really, really cool. And I've been bugging you. If you can come to Omega with me, please do.
I'm really looking at that.
Yay. Yay, because that will shift everything. Seriously, we will get. I mean, just again, any creative space where you can just take some time to come up with next brilliant ideas. And this is true for all of you. When I'm saying next steps, it's like let's take next inspired steps, right? Because our brain, I can't tell you how many times I've had lists and lists and lists, things I should do, things I should make happen, things I should have happen. And it's from my brain. It's not from my heart. It's not from my soul. So watch out for that. And then you feel like, what's wrong with me? I'm not taking any steps, right? And so again, we're going to follow the next steps. So thank you, honey. I'm so proud of you. I just wanted to.
This was very grounding. It was
good.
Grounding.
Yay.
So thank you.
Good. Thank you. And you know what the beautiful thing about all this work is too, is if I can inspire any of you, which I do, then she's going to take it into massage and hospice, right? And inspire some other beautiful souls. And some of you are going to do it in something else. And some of you are going to be nice to your wife or your husband or whoever, right? So I'd love to hear from some other folks if you feel like sharing. I see a hand over there. Shanti, do you have a hand up or is that okay, I see Shanti and I see Tommy. Okay, so Shanti, I think I called on you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. This is just wonderful. First of all, so much.
You're so welcome.
You know what? I just been so scattered. Writing is my calling. I love doing it. I've been doing it. I've been published here and then. Now it's suddenly stopped. It's almost like I'm resisting myself. I'm scattered. I'm the true listless and perfectionist. I'm doing my work, performing at my work excellently. Everything else is going well. Sometimes I blame my health issues. Sometimes I blame my work. But I know that's not what's stopping me from writing. I don't know what it is.
So I'm just going to say a little bit what you said because you're echoing. So I just want to make sure people can hear. And I want to make sure I heard you also.
Yeah.
Were you going to say one other thing?
No.
Okay. So she was just saying that she knows what her calling is. She knows what it is. But she finds herself getting stopped sometimes. And sometimes she'll blame it on her health, or she'll blame it on work, or she'll blame it. But she knows that's not what it is. Something's stopping her writing. Right? Is that what you said, basically? Okay, good. So for me, those of us who are writers, those of us in the writing clan, if you're not being stopped, you're probably not a writer. I'm joking around. But if you're not agonizing about it, if you're not watering the plants, doing all kinds of crap you shouldn't be doing, you're probably not writing, right? By that I mean, here's the thing, and this is true not only about writing, but everything about what we love, what moves us, we finally commit to it, we finally decide to do it, and then we find every reason not to. And I think it's because fear comes up. So here's what would happen for me as a writer. What would happen is it's really fun to think about writing, and it's fun to imagine what my book is going to be. I'm writing a new book now, and I'm all over the place, and I'm not focused, and I'm having a hard time with it. And it's, it's fun to think about, oh, wouldn't it be great to write a great book and imagine whatever. But when I actually sit down to write, then there's this horrible voice in my head that's going, really, that's what you're going to write? That's so dull. Really, you're going to use the word the again? Oh my God, you're so boring. I mean, so it's not fun to hang out with that voice. But for all of us who are daring, so those of you who want to be coaches, maybe you have that voice that goes, you're not going to know what to say to somebody. You're saying the dumb thing. You're not going to guide them. Why do they need you? They have somebody else, right? We all have that horrible voice. What this path is more than anything else, even more than doing our life's work and our life's dreams, it's about healing that voice. It's about going past that voice. That voice is lying to you, Shanti. It is lying. There is a light and a brightness and a love in you, and nobody has your voice, and nobody has your intelligence, and nobody has your stories. And I'm saying this to all of you. Nobody has your gift. Nobody. It's never been here before. I write books on creating the work you love. There's probably 5,000 of them written per minute, right? While we're talking, 10 more are on the shelf probably. But that's okay, because my voice needs to be out there, and my voice is reaching my people. And Shanti, your voice is needed for your people. And so that voice is lying to you. And part of it for all of us is, can I be gentle with myself even when that's happening? Can I go past it a little bit? And sometimes I can't, and that's okay. And sometimes I cave, and that's okay. And so I have a passage in Inspired and Unstoppable where I talk about, don't bring your ghosts to work, bring your spirit. Don't bring your ghosts to work, bring your spirit, meaning the part of you that goes, you never did it before, and you didn't do it right, and you're not going to do it. That's your ghosts, right? Haunting you of what you should have or could have been. Let's bring your spirit. Let's bring your juice. Because for all of you that feel like, well, I don't think I have the strength to do it. I don't think I'm talented enough to do it. I don't think I have enough energy to do it. Please keep in mind, you're not doing it alone. It's not up to you to do it. There's something igniting you to do it, right? There's something brighter in all of us. And for me, I meet that self by doing what I love. I meet that brightness by doing what I love. So thank you for that question. I'm going to mute you. Yep, perfect. Tama, you had your hand up. I'm going to unmute you. Yes.
Yeah, hi there.
Hi there.
So I've tried a lot of different things, webcasts, blogging, writing newspapers for articles, and all these. And I feel like I've got all these parts, but I'm so close to it that I can't see how to fit them together, how to really move forward in a consolidated, clear way that might come across to an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I step back or get some other viewpoint to go, yeah, these are the pieces?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. I'm just going to repeat it just in case people didn't hear it. He was saying he has a lot of webcasts and articles and creative material, and he wants to figure out, like, how do I consolidate this all? How do I have this, like, have this body of work that can go somewhere to an audience? And so I think a few things that I would say. First of all, so I'll answer you by answering another question that comes up a lot of times, where people say, I have this interest and I have that interest and I have this interest. How do I put them all together? How do I make that happen all together, right? I'm not a fan of doing that. I'm not a fan of, I call it playing Mr. Potato Head, for those of you who know, like, I'll put this part in and I'll put that part in and I'll put this part in, right? Of like, I'm not a fan of putting it all together, because that's from our brains, as much as I'm more of a fan of, Tommy, I might say, let yourself be led. So if I were working with you, what I'd want to do is you'd look at all the things you've done or all the things that you have, which ones really rock your world, which ones mean something to you, right? Let's look at those. Let's let those lead us. And sometimes maybe none of them do. Maybe that's not what you want to do right now. Maybe sometimes I've had clients that, for instance, are trying to package their past, right? Make good use of everything they've done, right? When something new is wanting to be born, right? So again, I'd want to stay in the energy of where you are right now, what you really, really want to say, and I'd focus on that. But the other thing is, you asked a really great question. You might take some space back and look at all those things and say, what's the themes in these? What's behind this? What's the theme in this? What am I reading?
Yeah, there's definitely an underlying theme. It's all about food and healthy eating, and that's,
beautiful. Well, you just answered it.
And so I feel like I've gone down different little trails trying to get that message out, and each little trail seems to be, a valid piece, but somewhere along the way, I don't get enough traction to get out of the mud and get the message out and find an audience. And
but Tommy, I think that may be your judgment speaking. That may be your judgment, because what's really interesting for me is this particular webinar, for instance, if you signed up, you got a thing that said, hey, how'd you hear about this? Or, what made you sign up, or that kind of thing. So it was funny, because I was reading some of the things and they were so beautiful. They were like, oh, I met Tama in, one of you wrote, I met Tama in 2008 in Toronto, or I've been following Tama since she wrote This Time I Dance in 2001. I met Tama, blah, blah, blah. And it was interesting because this is an aggregate of all those paths that didn't have traction, right? So like when I was in Toronto, or when I was in Detroit, or when I was in blah, 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 I may have told you, well, I don't know that went anywhere, or that went a little bit, but it didn't feed my ego like a huge thing. But for me, what I've learned is keep going, keep going, keep going. You're always getting that message out. You don't know how you're getting that message out. You have no idea. You may have reached that one person who's telling 50 people. We don't know anything. And for those of us who are in business or who are messengers, we keep thinking we know what it should look like, that everything should be huge. And I've fallen into that. And I just know that I have to keep going. If I reach,
I definitely feel like I'm in a vacuum. Like there's zero feedback. There's just no kind of response. And so I'm like, well, is anybody listening? Does anybody care? Is this something that, I think is important, but nobody else really does in the way that I do? I mean, obviously that's just $1 billion sector, the whole healthy eating.
right.
But,
it would be good. I mean, so do you ever speak to people live at all? Do you ever like coach people individually, or, maybe just talk to some people and ask,
casually when I'm at networking or things like that, and I say, well, do you cook at home as often as you'd like to? Well, and if they say no, then, well, why not? What's your obstacle? And how do you overcome that? And so there's a little bit of feedback. It seems like, yeah, And that's what I want to do, is try to help
So
people
Tommy,
take the mystery out of the kitchen so they can cook more and have better health, you know.
that's a beautiful idea. Oh my God, that's beautiful. You know, and so again, so here's the thing for most of us, and I'll end with this because I'm running crazy here, but I love talking to you guys. So here's the thing. We see what we believe, right? We see what we believe. So I have the same thing of, I feel, you know, for years I would say, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not getting, and I would find the examples of not getting anywhere. And I would casually ignore all the other things that were working, right? So you just told me you do get some feedback. You get here little bits of feedback, right? So
Yeah.
here's the thing, and I'm saying this to Tommy, but I'm saying this to all of us. If you have a belief that says, I never make any money, I never get any feedback, I never lose any weight, I never get any traction, one of mine was I never get any support. I don't have enough support, right? That was one of my beliefs that I was struggling with. And one of the things I had to finally look at is I finally decided I'm going to look for all the support in my life. I'm going to start acknowledging any tiny bit of it, and I'm going to focus on what is working. So the places where it has worked, even if it's once, Tommy, let's look at those. Let's mine those. And the other thing I would look at too is, you know, for me, a lot of our life's work has to be for us. You know, like, I'm going to be a messenger for this for the rest of my life. I hope the heck it reaches a lot of people. But if it doesn't, I'm going to still keep speaking it because it's reaching me. I'm healing me by doing it. And I do my life's work. I'm not doing it to heal other people. I'm doing it to heal me. I'm doing it to free me. It frees me, and thank God it takes other people with them. So whatever it is, find the thing that you would do for free. Find the thing that you would do without feedback. And that's hard because I like feedback, you know. So, I mean, we all want these things. We all deserve these things, and we will have these things. But find the thing that matters to you anyway, right? So thank you for that. And you just gave that gift to us. And, you know, it's a beautiful idea. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, so much. I look forward to hearing from some of you. I look forward to seeing you on retreats or in Life Tribe or down the road. If there's any topics that you're ever interested in, let me know. I'm so grateful for all of you, seriously. The reason I can do my life's work is because of people like you, because people like you who are daring. You give me so much courage because we're all in this together. And when I hear your journeys, it reminds me of my journey, and we're doing this together. And I'm so grateful. And for the new coaches in the house, and for the new massage therapists in the house, and the food bloggers in the house, and all the beautiful souls, I am sending you so much love and so much support. I'm so grateful for you. So, mwah, till later. Thank you so much. And to be continued.